Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and obviously a liar because I said it wouldn't be any more videos until January, and here I am. But I got all worked up because I was reading stuff, and what I was reading about was started off with an interview with Elon Musk there, and they asked him about automation, and he ought to know about it because he's into spaceships and all manner of automation along with it. He's well known in the field, so I guess he'd be a good guy to ask the question of. And they said, well, what was the effect going to be on the general working population? And he said, well, he said that obviously an awful lot of jobs would be easily automated. He said, with self-driving cars, you'll have self-driving trucks, and of course they can be self-loading trucks, so they'll wind up laying off a lot of the truck drivers. And he said with all the, it was hardly any step into the self-flipping burgers, your McDonald's can run itself probably, and he said they'd be laying off a bunch of people. And they said, well, if how much is this likely to affect? He said, well, probably at least 50% of the people won't ever be able to find a job once automation really settles in. He said, and that's not bad. He says they'll have all the time to do more meaningful things than show up and do a boring job. And I thought, no, they're not going to have more meaningful things to do because they're going to be broke. But they said, well, how are people going to get by without a job? He said, well, there'll have to be sort of a universal wage. And anybody that's collected money like from the government, like Social Security or something like that, you know that the government's not going to give you a great big check to sit at home and not do anything. And then if you start thinking about it, if 50 or 60 or 70% of the people can't get jobs, that's going to be a rough go, because all the money is going to come from that other 30%. They're going to have to tax them really heavy, so it may wind up with one guy working to support 3 others outside of his own family. Excuse me, sinuses are bad. So we went through some thinking here, or I did rather. I went through some thinking about, well, what does this mean, and my mind had run down one rabbit hole, and then it run down another rabbit hole, and some of them, glowing futures, some of them were kind of, dismal. And so let's do the dismal first, because it's a lot more interesting. So supposing, let's say that 70% of the people wind up with no jobs because everything's automated. They got something flipping burgers, they got an automated doctor checking your kidneys, all the car factories are building new Corvettes all by themselves with hardly any human around anywhere. After all, if you can build a car with a robot can build robots, and a robot should be able to fix a broken robot, So I mean, the need for humans to come in and grease the joints and replace the chips and that sort of thing should get really low to non-existent. So anyway, so we get down, the guy says, well, we're going to have a universal wage. So we've got 70% of the people sitting on their can, and 30% of them are probably the people that own the robots, or people that do the whatever few jobs are left that people only can do, and they're going to have to support everybody else. Well, then after a while, some bright young guy is going to come up with an idea. He's going to say, if we got rid of all these people, we wouldn't have to pay all this much tax, and we wouldn't even be crowded. So that runs down several different rabbit holes. First rabbit hole is they come along and they say, well, what we're going to do is before you reach puberty, you get a IQ test. The top 20% gets to go on as they're doing, and the bottom 80% get sterilized, and they can draw their guaranteed wage or welfare or whatever you want to call it, the rest of their life. They just won't reproduce, and at the end of all this time, the population will shrink rapidly, and you can, turn half the country into national parks full of animals that there'll be room for again and stuff, and that's sort of, I guess, a semi-rosy, semi-not rosy kind of a thing, because that's going to get into all kind of just disagreements and, well, you know, you're getting too many of these people, or too many of those people, or whatever. So that's undoubtedly an interesting thought, that's going to cause trouble. Okay, so let's take the other rabbit hole down on this side. It's not so well glowing as that one, where everybody gets to live their life out, you know, without raising kids and all the money you need to buy lunch. But suppose that they get this idea going, and then one day some guy walks in and says, it's going to be 80 years before we get rid of all these people. He says, I've got an idea. I'll go over the country over here next door, and we'll get a war going, and we'll just kill off people right and left. And then at some point we stop the war and we pick up, and, you know, we'll be rid of all these people. That's pretty gruesome, you know. And considering the people and how they think, that's not at all an outrageous thought. I mean, I can see the head guy over in South Korea coming up with that idea in a second. You know? All right. So let's go down now one of the glowing rabbit holes. Suppose everybody has got this universal wage, and there's a little bit money left over. You know, you can spend your day painting or writing poetry or piddling in your shop, provided you say you can save up enough money to get tools, you know, because let's say that there's a really generous guaranteed wage and you're getting the same thing as you would working now. And so then you can go out in your shop and make something cool. Or you could hang around at the pool hall or down at the beer joint, and, you know, whatever you're into. But I think that if people had that much time, they would get up to stuff that's not good for them to be getting up to, and it would be a disaster for them, I think. You know, people got to have something that they've got to do to keep them busy. Most people don't have a hobby. I don't think, I haven't noticed that everybody has one. So even though it's really glowing, you could get a big check that's as much as you could ever make working, you know, it may not be enough to keep you out of trouble because you got too much time. You know what they say, the devil finds work for idle hands. So I don't know. And it was just an interesting thing that I thought about. You know, I don't know anything about anything, so, you know, it's probably kind of presumptive of me to even bring up the subject. But after reading that stuff, you know, the interview with Elon Musk and him predicting, you know, that an awful lot of people would get unemployed because of automation, it got me to wondering just how would things really work out, you know. So then here I am shooting off my mouth. But it was an interesting thought. You know, what are you going to do? Do you want to buy a self-driving car? Would you be happy with all the delivery trucks being self-driven, you know? A lot to think about there. But anyway, right now, there's plenty of people who need to go to work every day and make the stuff that you buy, and you're going to get paid for it, and they're going to pay for it, so you get your share. And we'll see how things come out. I'm going to shut up before I get really into deep trouble here, and just say, y'all keep on keeping on. Thanks for viewing. Click the like button or click the dislike button or something. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. That's really important. Click the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. If you are, stay away from it. It'll unsubscribe you. All right. Bye.